Hey man, thanks for the click. People are thinking about going to the backcountry for the first time or maybe trying a different way. One of the big questions you can run into is, how am I going to poop? Hygiene in the backcountry is super important. I don't know the exact statistic, but it is believed that the vast majority of illness contracted in the backcountry is due to poor hygiene. It's because you either ate a little bit of your own poop because you didn't wash your hands, or you ate a little bit of somebody else's poop because they didn't wash their hands. The most important thing you can get out of this video is going to be wash your hands. With that in mind, I'd like to talk you through what I use in the backcountry, as well as several other contingent scenarios due to weather, certain restrictions in different areas. The goal is to give you a good idea of what to expect. Before I get into the details of what I carry in a kit, I would be amiss if I went through something on pooping in the woods if I didn't cover the basic rules of leave no trace. This is a little thing that you can find on the Leave No Trace website. It's lnt.org. If you search for I have to poop outside, what do I do? This should come up right away. Let's walk through this. First question is, do you have a bathroom nearby? If you do, use that. If not, can you get 200 feet away from any sort of a water source? If the answer is no, use a Wag Bag. This is a Wag Bag if you're not familiar. You can get them at REI, or you can oftentimes get them at ranger stations, especially in places where you're likely to need them. Next question, is the ground soft enough to dig a hole? If the answer is no, still using a Wag Bag. If the ground is soft enough, then are you in the desert? This is almost like a false distinction between the two, because the only difference is that if you're in the desert, you only need to dig 4 to 6 inches. Meanwhile, if you're not in the desert, you should dig 6 to 8 inches. Just dig 6 inches. You're going to be fine either way. If you dig at least 6 inches, it doesn't matter what the soil is, you're good to go. Now we'll take a step back to this question of, is the ground soft enough to dig a hole? You may not always know that going into a situation. An easy way to have a rough idea, if you're looking at terrain like this, so anywhere that's green, you usually have trees, and those trees typically have forest stuff around them, and it's easy to dig. Anywhere that you see white is often rocky, and rocky places may not have soil deep enough for you to dig in, or it may be so rocky that it's very difficult to dig in, so you would prefer to poop somewhere green. And this can get into how you plan your days. Let's face it, coffee time is coffee time. You're probably going to want to be somewhere green when you have your coffee. Just a thought. It can be really helpful in answering this question. If you at any point aren't sure that you're going to be able to dig a hole, bring a Wag Bag. Otherwise, don't bother. Most of the places in the Sierra, you can find a way to avoid a Wag Bag. In high alpine terrain, especially around Mount Whitney, you're going to need a Wag Bag. This is what I normally carry in the backcountry. It has enough materials in it to last me, we'll say 3 to 5 days at minimum. This is a relatively light option at just over 2 ounces. I would consider it full featured, but not overbuilt. The entire kit has 5 components: soap, hand sanitizer, toilet paper, and bags to put your used toilet paper in, as well as a bag to put everything else in that you can keep in a convenient place. Sometimes when you need your kit, you need your kit. The first and most important thing in your poop kit is going to be your bottle of soap. If you have nothing else, you need a bottle of soap. You can wash your hands, you can wash your rear end, you can wash things up and make them clean. If your hands are clean, then things like hand sanitizer are going to be more effective, and you can be more certain that you aren't contaminating your food or anything else with poop, which is the primary source of backcountry illness. Soap should be a relatively strong soap, like a dish soap type strength, and you should repackage it into a 15 to 20 ml bottle if you've got it. A bottle like this would easily last the whole John Muir Trail, both washing your hands and with backcountry bidets if that's something that you choose to do. It's got a dropper lid to make it easy to dispense in small amounts, and the bottle is so convenient that you can put it anywhere. If you were looking at this bottle and you knew that I'd used this for multiple John Muir Trail trips, you might wonder how this label stayed so crisp. Obviously rub off quite easily because it's a Sharpie mark. There's a trick to it. You want to put a strip of clear plastic tape over the top of your Sharpie mark. That way your label doesn't rub off in your pack. If you only had one thing in your poop kit, you can get by with just soap. Not only can it be used to wash your hands, but you can also give yourself a backcountry bidet. In that scenario, what you do is you find some rocks and sticks and things like that, get all the heavy lifting done with those rocks and sticks, and then you use a bottle of clear water and some soap to kind of clean up. If you're going to go this route, you need to make sure that you've got enough water on hand to take care of business. Making sure that you drink your coffee when you've got a reasonable water supply on hand is a good idea. If you can get over the fact that you're washing a dirty butt, it's really a good way to go. It's nice, it's light, and you have to dig a hole anyway, so you can easily follow Leave No Trace for washing your hands and your butt at the same time. However, it's not always the most convenient, because if you don't have water on hand or you're running low on water, it's going to be harder to use soap. And that's why I also carry hand sanitizer. While soap is definitely your minimum viable option, hand sanitizer is a great convenience. It will make it much easier for you to clean up and consistently wash your hands without having to worry about whether or not you've got enough water around. If you have a bottle of this in your poop kit, then as long as you've got your poop kit, you've got everything you need in order to take care of business. With one hand and one bottle, undo the lid, pour a little bit in my hand, then give everything a good scrub. That'll hold you over in terms of hygiene. You should still wash your hands at some point with soap. It'll do a much better job of cleaning up. These are just snack size bags to put my used toilet paper in. I always try to have 2 of these things on hand because if you don't have one when you need it, you'll be very sad. Toilet paper is pretty straightforward. I would suggest using good stuff because you'll probably use this and use it hard. You're often eating a diet that's a little bit different from what you're used to. It might be higher fat, it might be higher carb, whatever it might be. It's not uncommon to have a little bit of gastrointestinal distress. Having good toilet paper on hand makes that experience much more pleasant. I've taken to using high quality toilet paper that I roll up without a cord, just around itself, into a fairly good sized wad. I find that this is a lightweight solution that gives me the maximum wiping. Around 3 to 4 feet per day will usually cover the average person. While we're on the topic of toilet paper, let's talk about a little bit of a misunderstanding. There are some people who will take this vapor thin hotel room type toilet paper into the backcountry and then they'll bury it. They'll think that the pack it out rule isn't that important. The reason why you see those piles isn't because someone left their toilet paper on the surface of the ground, it's because they tried to bury their toilet paper instead of packing it out. What happens is a small animal comes along who's hungry and smells your poop and thinks, that smells delicious. Small forest creatures are often very hungry, and when they smell your poop, they think it's food. So small animals will come along and dig up your poop and eat it. When they do that, they don't really care about the toilet paper, so they just leave that strewn about, and then you end up with piles of toilet paper. A lot of people will see that and they say, oh, those disgusting people didn't bury their toilet paper. I buried my toilet paper, so clearly the problem isn't me, it's those terrible people who don't bury their toilet paper. The truth is that toilet paper on the surface was probably buried at some point. The only good solution is to pack out your toilet paper. That's the only way we can be sure that your toilet paper isn't just going to end up strewn out all over the place. It's also not as gross as you think it's going to be. It doesn't really smell, it dries out pretty quickly, and then it's not a problem. What would be a problem is if it were strewn out in the backcountry and everybody had to see it. That would be gross. You don't want to see it, we don't want to see it, so pack out your toilet paper. Because you're going to have to pack it out anyway, there are some people who say, why not use paper towels? Why not use some sort of baby wipe? And they're not wrong. Those are both really good options. And if you would prefer to use baby wipes or paper towels, there's absolutely no reason why you would bring toilet paper instead. Whatever you choose, you're going to have to pack it out anyway, so you might as well choose something that's going to be comfortable for you. There are some people who advocate using paper towels. They are more durable and they can get the job done. Really no different. You're going to throw it in the trash anyway, so if you prefer something like this, feel free. There's no reason not to. On longer trips, it's not uncommon for someone to want to take baby wipes or wet wipes or wilderness wipes or anything like that. These can provide a lot of the cleanliness of a soap and water cleanup for those who are a little bit squeamish. After 5 days of pooping in holes and scratching around in the woods, sweating a lot, it's not a bad idea to have a little bit of extra ability to clean up. If you want to use baby wipes, I'm going to give you 3 suggestions that are very important. First, anything that says flushable isn't really going to help you out. More flushable isn't really important in the backcountry because you're not flushing anything anyway. You're going to put it into a bag and then you're going to throw it away when you get home. All you would end up with is a product that's a little bit less durable, and that doesn't really help you. The second thing is that any product that contains alcohol can give you some pretty nasty burning sensations. So I would suggest that you choose a product that doesn't include alcohol if you don't intend to dry them out. But on that note, the third suggestion is that you do let whatever you're going to use dry out. The only moisture that could be in these things that would make them more effective is alcohol, and you don't really want to have alcohol in something that you're rubbing on your rear end. If you look at this one, it uses benzothorium chloride as the antibacterial component, and these ones include sodium benzoate, which is a food grade preservative. It isn't alcohol that's cleaning, it is the food grade preservative that they put in there that's not only helping things clean up initially, but then keeping them clean over the long term because the residue will actually be antibacterial as well. This covers the basic kit and the basic options, but there are a couple other things I'd like to get into while we're on the subject. The first is digging a hole, and if you don't know where you're going, you don't know what the conditions are like, and you don't know what the soil is going to be like, you want to carry something like this. These old school plastic trowels are, believe it or not, still one of the best options out there. Choosing the right place to dig a hole is almost always better than trying to punch a hole into hard ground with a trekking pole or even something like this. If you're going to be digging in hard soils, you're going to need something real. You're going to need something with some heft, weighs at least a few pounds, and is going to be able to hammer through hard soils. Unfortunately, if you're trying to be ultralight, something like this isn't really an option. There's a better solution for people who are trying to be lightweight. The solution to that isn't to buy some flashy half-ounce trowel instead of a nice 2-ounce trowel. The solution solution is actually to pick the location that you're going to poop in. This only works if you know the soil types and the places that you're going. So if you're going someplace for the first time, just bring something like this. But if you know where you're going and you know there's going to be a lot of forest stuff there that's nice and deep so you can get down into the soil, then you can usually forego a trowel altogether. You can dig a fairly deep hole fairly quickly with the back of your heel or a trekking pole. That'll probably be your favorite solution, but again, it's something that you should only use if you know that the material is going to be soft enough. When I'm talking about the material, snow doesn't count. Generally speaking, the rule is you need to dig 6 inches down into the dirt below any snow that's there. Snow does not count as the soil. So if you're going someplace in the winter, you need to carry a snow shovel because you're going to need to dig through 2 to 6 feet of snow in some cases to get down to the soil so that you can dig your 6-inch hole. Tree wells can be a good option there because tree wells will have most of the hole already dug for you. But most people aren't going to be doing a lot of winter camping anyway, so I don't want to spend too much time on that. The thing that I do want to talk about is Wag Bags. This is a Wag Bag. Basically, it is a kit that will allow you to easily and cleanly pack out your waste. Usually when you're being issued one of these things, you're going into someplace like the Whitney Zone where it is a high alpine terrain that doesn't have biologically active soils. So if people go up there and crap under a rock, it's not going to break down in a reasonable amount of time. And with the number of people who are climbing Mount Whitney every day of the year, it just would be even more gross than I already think it is. I honestly find the number of people who are climbing Whitney on a regular basis to be pretty gross to begin with. Making sure that people are at least using these kits is definitely important. Since you're probably curious as to what goes into one of these things, I actually have one that I have opened in the past. I can show you that it basically is everything you need. So when you open one of these kits, there are 3 main components. The first component is a large bag with desiccant in it. There's enough desiccant in these that you could use it a couple times and it would still be enough to make sure that everything gets dried out. And that's a good thing because when things are dry, it's not as gross to deal with. The second thing they have in here is a little bundle of toilet paper. I wouldn't consider this your first option. It's pretty thin and not really high quality stuff. It is definitely enough to get the job done. And if you don't have any other toilet paper, it's great to have. And then the last thing is a large zip seal bag that you can put everything in when you're done. That just keeps things a little bit more sanitary, and having a bag inside of a bag just makes you extra sure that you're not gonna make a mess anywhere. The only other component that I've seen in these before is, I don't know if they're still doing it, but they at times used to give you like a piece of paper that was like a target that you could poop on, and then you'd fold it up and put it inside the bag. I'm not sure if that was really that important, and I haven't seen them the last 2 times that I've used them, so I don't know if that's still a thing. So thanks for taking the time to sit through all this. Hopefully you got something useful out of it. So if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and hit the like button, and if you liked the video and want to see more like it, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I have a few other videos out at this point talking about various components of backpacking, and I'm going to keep putting out more videos to try and put everything together for you. Last but not least, feel free to comment if you have any questions, if you have any ideas, or you think I left anything out. Until next time, thanks for watching.